Part 1. The Ambush. The smoke rose thick and black from the crashed ship. Corporal Han Jiwoo watched it from behind a ridge of red rocks, his rifle ready in his hands. His team had been walking through this desert for 3 hours when they saw the smoke. Now they were close enough to see the ship clearly. It was not human. The metal was purple and silver, twisted from the crash. Valkyrie design. Enemy design. Should we call it in, Corporal? Private Lee asked through the radio. Jiwoo studied the wreck through his scope. The war between humans and the Valkyrie had been cold for months, but tensions were rising. Any contact could spark a fight. Command would want to know about this. They would send bombers to destroy it, or soldiers to capture anyone inside. Hold position, Jiwoo said quietly. I'm going closer. He moved down the slope, keeping low. The sand was hot under his boots. This planet, Threshold 7, was caught between human colonies and Valkyrie territory. Both sides wanted it. Neither would give it up. The desert stretched forever in all directions, broken only by rock formations and dead valleys. As Jiwoo got closer to the wreck, he saw the damage. This was not from human weapons. The hull had deep claw marks and parts of the ship looked like they had been torn open by massive hands. His stomach went cold. Krell, the third faction in this part of space. They were raiders and hunters, hating both humans and Valkyrie equally. They took prisoners as trophies and ate their enemies. The Krell had done this. Jiwoo reached the ship and pressed against its warm metal. He heard nothing inside. Maybe everyone was already dead. Maybe the Krell had taken them. He found a gap in the hull and slipped through, his rifle light cutting through the darkness. Bodies lay in the corridor. Valkyrie soldiers, their blue skin pale in death. Jiwoo had seen Valkyrie before in combat footage. They were tall, taller than humans, with elegant features and eyes that were too large. These ones wore diplomatic escort armor, not battle gear. This had been a peaceful mission. He moved deeper into the ship. Every shadow could hide danger. Every sound made his finger tense on the trigger. Then he heard it. Breathing. Fast, scared breathing. Jiwoo followed the sound to what looked like a sleeping cabin. Inside, wedged between a collapsed wall panel and a storage locker, was a child. A Valkyrie child. She could not have been more than 12 human years old. Her silver hair was matted with purple blood. Her large golden eyes were wide with terror when she saw him. She screamed. "Wait, wait," Jiwoo said, lowering his rifle. He held up his hands. "I'm not going to hurt you." She did not understand. She was screaming in her language, words he could not follow. Tears ran down her face. She tried to push herself further into the corner, but there was nowhere to go. Jiwoo slowly reached to his belt and pulled out his translator device. It was small, meant for basic communication with civilians. He tapped it on and set it on the floor between them. Then he backed away. "Can you understand me now?" he asked. The device chirped and spoke in Valkyrie. The girl stopped screaming. She stared at the translator, then at Jiwoo. "Human," she whispered in her language. The translator gave him the word in his ear. "You are human." "Yes," Jiwoo said. He kept his voice calm and soft, like he was talking to a scared animal. "Are you hurt?" She touched her head where the blood was. "My mother. Where is my mother?" Jiwoo's chest tightened. He had seen no survivors except this girl. "What's your name?" "Narai," she said. Her voice was small. "Princess Narai Vel Mirai of the Valkyrie Empire. My mother is Empress Mira. You must take me to her. A princess." Jiwoo's mind raced. This changed everything. If he brought her to his commanders, she would be a prisoner. A hostage. The war would explode into full conflict. But if he left her here, she would die. The Krell would return. They always returned to make sure their prey was dead. "We need to leave," Jiwoo said. "Bad things are coming back. Things that hurt your ship." Narai shook her head. "I cannot go with you. You are the enemy. You will kill me. If I wanted to kill you, you would already be dead," Jiwoo said. It was harsh but true. "I'm trying to save you." Before she could answer, a sound came from outside the ship. A clicking, rattling sound that made Jiwoo's blood freeze. He had heard that sound in training videos. Krell hunters communicated in clicks and hisses. They were here. Jiwoo grabbed his rifle and moved to the door. Through a gap in the hull, he saw them. 3 Krell warriors, each one massive and covered in black chitinous armor. They walked on 4 legs like insects, but their upper bodies were humanoid, with 4 arms holding weapons. Their faces were nightmare fuel, all mandibles and black eyes. "They're here," Jiwoo whispered. He tapped his radio. Lee, get the squad back to base. Report Krell presence. Heavy combat expected. What about you, Corporal? Lee's voice crackled. Jiwoo looked back at Narai. She was watching him with those huge golden eyes, scared, alone, just a kid who watched her people die. He thought of his own little sister back on Earth. What if she was trapped like this? What if she needed help and no one came? I'm staying, Jiwoo said. That's an order. Move out, sir. Move out, Private. That's final. He shut off the radio before Lee could argue. The Krell were spreading out, searching the wreck. They knew someone was alive inside. They could probably smell them. Narai was crying again, silent tears running down her face. They killed everyone. They killed Captain Yuna. They killed all the guards. I hid in the walls. Jiwoo moved to her and knelt down. Up close he could see she was shaking. Listen to me, Narai. I'm not going to let them get you. Do you understand? I promise. And why? She asked. I am Valkyrie. You are human. We are enemies. Jiwoo smiled, tired and sad. Because you're just a kid, and someone has to do the right thing. He helped her up. She was tall for a child, already reaching his shoulder. He checked her over quickly. The head wound was not deep. She could walk. Good. They would need to move fast. The clicking was getting louder. The Krell were entering the ship. Jiwoo pulled Narai toward the back of the cabin. There was a tear in the hull there, barely big enough for them to squeeze through. He pushed her toward it. Go, quietly. She hesitated, looking at him with uncertainty and fear. Then she crawled through. Jiwoo followed, his rifle catching on the jagged metal. Behind them he heard the Krell entering the sleeping quarters. They had seconds. Outside, the desert heat hit them like a wall. Jiwoo pointed to a rock formation about 200 meters away. Run to those rocks. Don't stop. Don't look back, Narai ran. She was fast, faster than a human child. Jiwoo ran beside her, his eyes scanning for threats. Behind them, a Krell screeched. They had found the cabin empty. They knew their prey was escaping. The rocks were close now. 50 meters, 30. Jiwoo heard the clicking behind them, rapid and angry. The Krell were giving chase. They reached the rocks and dove behind them just as a Krell weapon fired. The blast hit the stone above Jiwoo's head, sending sharp fragments raining down. He pushed Narai deeper into the formation, finding a cave entrance inside now. They stumbled into darkness. The cave was narrow and went back into the rock. Perfect for defense. The Krell were big. They would have trouble following. Jiwoo turned at the entrance, his rifle ready. Outside, silhouettes moved against the bright desert sun. The clicking was all around them. The Krell were not giving up. Narai was breathing hard behind him. What do we do now? Jiwoo checked his ammunition. He had 3 magazines left. His water was half gone. No food except 2 ration bars. No backup coming, no rescue. Just him, a scared alien princess, and monsters that wanted them dead. Now, he said, we survive. Part 2, 72 hours. The cave was cold despite the desert heat outside. Jiwoo kept his rifle pointed at the entrance while Narai sat against the back wall. She had not spoken since they entered. Her golden eyes watched him with a mix of fear and confusion. Outside, the clicking of the Krell warriors echoed between the rocks. We need to check your head, Jiwoo said, keeping his voice low. He pulled his medical kit from his pack. Come here. Into the light. Narai did not move. I'm not going to hurt you, Jiwoo said again. But if that cut gets infected, you could get very sick. She moved forward slowly, like he might attack at any moment. When she was close enough, Jiwoo could see the wound clearly. It was a deep gash above her right ear, but not as bad as he feared. He cleaned it with antiseptic. She hissed in pain but did not pull away. You are gentle, she said through the translator. I thought humans were brutal. That is what my tutors said. Jiwoo wrapped a bandage around her head. Your tutors probably said a lot of things about humans. Most of it not true. They said humans are warlike, that you destroy everything you touch, that you cannot be trusted. And what do Valkyrie do? Jiwoo asked, finishing the bandage. Your empire has been taking planets from other species for centuries. You started this war by trying to take our colonies. Narai looked down. The empire needs resources. We have a right to expand, and we have a right to defend our homes. They sat in silence for a moment. Outside, the clicking had stopped. That was worse than hearing it. It meant the Krell were planning something. Jiwoo checked his rifle and his ammunition. 3 magazines, about 90 rounds total. He had his sidearm with 2 more magazines, some grenades, a knife. Not enough for a prolonged fight. Are we going to die here? Narai asked. No, Jiwoo said. He tried to sound confident. We're going to wait them out. Krell are patient, but they have to eat. They'll leave eventually to hunt. How long? Could be hours. Could be days. Narai pulled her knees to her chest. She looked so small despite being tall for her age. I want my mother. Jiwoo softened. He sat down next to her, keeping space between them. He pulled out his canteen and offered it to her. She stared at it. It's just water, he said. You need to drink. She took it carefully, like it might be poisoned. After a small sip, she drank deeply. When she handed it back, Jiwoo drank too. He had 1 canteen left. They would need to make it last. My mother is very powerful, Narai said. When she finds out I am alive, she will come for me. She will bring the entire fleet. That's good, Jiwoo said. But it might take time. We have to survive until then. The first attack came at sunset. One of the Krell tried to force its way into the cave entrance. It was too big, but it reached inside with its long arms, the claws scraping on stone. Jiwoo fired 3 rounds into its shoulder. The creature screeched and pulled back, leaving dark blood on the rocks. Stay back, Jiwoo told Narai. She had pressed herself as far into the cave as she could go. The Krell tried again an hour later. This time they used weapons, firing energy blasts into the cave. The shots hit the walls and sent hot stone fragments flying. Jiwoo returned fire, careful with his shots. He hit 1 Krell in the face. It went down. The others dragged it away. Then it was quiet again. Night fell. The cave became very dark. Jiwoo had a small light, but he used it sparingly to save the battery. They sat in the darkness, listening to the wind and the distant clicking. Tell me about Earth, Narai said suddenly. Jiwoo was surprised. What do you want to know? Anything. I have never spoken to a human before. Not really. Only seen propaganda videos. Jiwoo thought for a moment. Earth is mostly water. Oceans that cover most of the planet. The continents have every kind of environment you can imagine. Mountains, forests, deserts, ice fields. My home is in a place with 4 seasons. Trees that change color in autumn. We do not have seasons on the homeworld, Narai said. It is always warm. Always green. The cities are built into the trees, some so tall they reach the clouds. Sounds beautiful. It is. Her voice was sad. I miss it. Jiwoo reached into his vest pocket and pulled out a small photograph. He turned on his light for just a moment to show her. It was a picture of a young girl, maybe 9 years old, with a bright smile. This is my sister. Her name is Hana. Narai looked at the picture. She looks kind, she is. She wants to be a doctor. Helps anyone who needs it, even injured animals she finds. You miss her. Every day. Jiwoo put the picture away. That's why I'm here, actually, fighting. To make sure she has a safe place to grow up. My mother fights for the same reason, Narai said quietly. She says the Empire must be strong so that I can be safe. They were quiet after that. The irony was heavy between them. 2 sides fighting the same war for the same reason, each thinking the other was the threat. The second day was harder. The heat was terrible, even in the cave. They were down to half a canteen of water. Jiwoo gave Narai most of it. He broke his ration bars in half and shared them. They tasted like cardboard, but Narai ate without complaint. The Krell attacked 3 times that day. They were getting smarter, trying different approaches. One climbed above the cave and tried to drop down. Jiwoo heard it and fired upward. The creature fell and did not get back up. By the 3rd day, Jiwoo was struggling. The water was gone. His lips were cracked and bleeding. Narai was in better shape. Her species evolved on a hot planet. She could handle the heat better than him. You need to drink, she said, offering him the last few drops from his canteen. You drink it, Jiwoo said. His voice was rough. You are dying to save me. The least I can do is share the water. Jiwoo smiled despite everything. You're braver than most soldiers I know. She gave him a small smile back. My mother says I have her stubbornness. That afternoon, the final attack came. All 3 remaining Krell rushed the cave at once. They came fast, weapons firing, filling the entrance with their bulk. Jiwoo fired everything he had. His rifle clicked empty. He switched to his sidearm. 1 Krell fell, then another. The 3rd one got through. It was massive, filling the cave with its body. Jiwoo drew his knife and went low, cutting at the joints in its leg armor. The creature backhanded him. He flew across the cave and hit the wall hard. Pain exploded in his ribs. His sidearm skittered away across the floor. The Krell advanced on Narai. She screamed. Jiwoo tried to get up, but his body would not respond. He had broken something. Maybe several things. He watched in horror as the creature reached for the princess. Then Narai picked up Jiwoo's rifle. It was empty, but she did not know that. She pointed it at the Krell and pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. She looked confused, then terrified. "The grenades," Jiwoo gasped. "On my belt. Pull the pin. Throw it." Narai dropped the rifle and ran to Jiwoo. Her hands shook as she grabbed a grenade from his belt. The Krell was turning, raising its weapon. She pulled the pin like she had seen in holovids and threw it with all her strength. The grenade bounced off the Krell's chest plate and landed at its feet. The creature looked down, confused for just a second. Then the cave filled with fire and sound. When the smoke cleared, the Krell was down. Dead or dying, the cave entrance was partially collapsed from the blast. Narai was on the ground, her ears bleeding from the noise. But she was alive. Jiwoo tried to speak, but darkness was closing in. He had taken too much damage. His breathing was shallow. He could taste blood in his mouth. Narai crawled to him. No, you cannot die. Please, you saved me." "Your mother," Jiwoo managed. "Tell her. Not all humans are monsters." "I will tell her," Narai said, crying. "I promise. Please do not leave me alone." Jiwoo wanted to tell her it would be okay. That help was coming. But he was so tired. The darkness was pulling him down. His last thought before unconsciousness took him was that at least he had kept his promise. The girl was alive. High above the planet, sensors detected the explosion. 2 fleets were already in orbit. 1 human, 1 Valkyrie. Both had been searching for 3 days. One looking for a missing patrol, one looking for a princess. Now they had found them both, and now the real complications would begin. Narai held Jiwoo's hand as ships descended from the sky. She did not know if he was still alive, but she would not let go. This human had protected her with his life. Her mother needed to know. Everyone needed to know. Not all humans were monsters. This one was a hero. Part 3. The rescue. The Valkyrie medical ship touched down first. Its landing gear carved deep prints into the red sand. Before the engines even powered down, the rear hatch opened. Empress Mirai emerged, flanked by a dozen royal guards in full battle armor. She wore no crown, no ceremonial robes, just tactical gear and a weapon at her hip. Her face was carved from stone, showing nothing, but her eyes burned with barely controlled fear. Commander Bora walked beside the Empress. She was shorter than Mirai, but built like a fortress. Her scarred face had seen 1,000 battles. She carried a heavy plasma rifle like it weighed nothing. "The human ships are landing on the ridge," Bora said. 2 transports and a gunship. "They will reach the site in minutes." "Let them come," Mirai said coldly. "If they have harmed my daughter, I will burn their fleet from the sky." "Your Majesty, we do not know what happened here. The humans may have saved her." Mirai's expression did not change. "Or they took her hostage when they found her. Either way, I will have Narai back." They reached the collapsed cave. The entrance was partially blocked by rubble. Scorch marks and blood stained the rocks. Dead Krell bodies lay scattered around the site, already being picked at by local scavengers. "Krell attack," Bora observed. "Heavy fighting." "Someone made a stand here," Mirai's communicator chirped. She answered immediately. "Speak, Mother." Narai's voice was weak but clear. "Mother, I am alive." Mirai's stone facade cracked. Her hand trembled as she held the communicator. "Narai, my light. Where are you?" "In the cave. But Mother, please listen. There is a human with me. His name is Jiwoo. He saved my life. He is badly hurt. You must promise not to harm him." "A human?" Mirai's voice turned sharp. "Did he take you hostage? Is he threatening you?" "No, Mother, please. He protected me from the Krell for 3 days. He used his own body as a shield. He nearly died for me. Please, you must help him." Mirai looked at Bora. The commander's expression was skeptical but open. "It is possible," Bora said quietly. "The tactical situation supports her story. A single defender holding this position against Krell hunters. It would take great skill. And great courage." The Empress made a decision. "Clear the entrance carefully, medical team. Prepare for 2 patients." The human ships landed moments later. Armed soldiers poured out, weapons ready. Their commander was a tall man with gray hair and hard eyes. Colonel Park. Mirai knew him from intelligence reports. He was competent and ruthless. Park approached with 4 soldiers backing him. Empress Mirai, I must ask you to stand down. We have a missing soldier in that cave. This is a human recovery operation. Your soldier is with my daughter, Mirai said. We are extracting both. Your weapons are not needed here. With respect, Your Majesty, we do not trust you with our man. For all we know, this is a trap. Before Mirai could respond, Narai's voice came through the communicator again. Mother, the humans are here. Tell them Jiwoo is alive. Tell them he chose to stay with me. He sent his squad away. Please, no fighting. He would not want fighting. Park's radio crackled with the same voice. His soldiers were monitoring Velkari communications. His hard expression flickered with confusion. Your man sent his squad away? Mirai asked. Park did not answer immediately. He spoke into his radio. Lee, confirm last contact with Corporal Han, a younger voice responded. Sir, Jiwoo ordered us to return to base. Said he was staying behind. He found a Velkari child in the crashed ship. Krell were closing in. That was 72 hours ago. Park's jaw tightened. He stayed. With an enemy civilian. With my daughter, Mirai said. Her voice was quieter now. Your soldier protected a child he owed nothing to. A child whose people are at war with his own. The two commanders stood in the desert heat, weapons surrounding them, both sides ready to kill. But something had changed. A small crack in the wall of hatred. We work together, Park said finally. Extract both of them, then we talk. Mirai nodded once. Agreed. The Velkari soldiers cleared the rubble quickly. They were strong, stronger than humans, and they worked with precision. Within 10 minutes, the entrance was open enough for medical teams to enter. What they found inside made both sides pause. Jiwoo lay on the cave floor, barely breathing. His armor was torn and soaked with blood. His face was pale, his lips cracked and bleeding from dehydration. Multiple injuries covered his body. Broken ribs, concussion, deep cuts, burns from Krell weapons. He had lost a lot of blood. Narai sat beside him, holding his hand. She looked up when the medical teams entered, and her eyes were fierce despite the tears on her face. Help him first, she said. He is worse than me. The Velkari medical team hesitated, looking to their empress for direction. Mirai had followed them inside. She stood in the entrance, looking at the scene before her. The human soldier dying, her daughter alive and defending him. Do as she says, Mirai ordered. Treat the human, now. The Velkari medics worked quickly. They stabilized Jiwoo's breathing and stopped the worst of the bleeding. A human medical team pushed in as well, but the Velkari equipment was more advanced. Within minutes, Jiwoo was loaded onto a stretcher and carried toward the Velkari medical ship. Wait, Park said. He comes with us. Your medical technology cannot save him, Boris said bluntly. He has internal bleeding and possible organ damage. Our equipment can heal him. Yours cannot, Park looked torn. Letting the enemy take one of his soldiers went against every instinct. But he could see the truth. The human medic beside him confirmed it with a grim nod. If you harm him, Park said slowly, there will be no peace. Ever. Mirai met his eyes. Your soldier saved my only child. I do not harm those who protect my family. He will receive the best care in the Empire. You have my word. The word of a Velkari empress, Park said bitterly. Forgive me if I do not find that comforting. Then take comfort in this, Narai said. She had walked up to stand beside her mother. Despite her injuries, despite her exhaustion, she stood straight. This human showed me mercy when he had every reason not to. He protected me with his life. If your people are capable of such honor, then perhaps we have been wrong about humans. And perhaps you have been wrong about us. She looked at Park directly. Jiwoo told me to tell everyone that not all humans are monsters. I am telling you that not all Velkari are conquerors. Some of us want peace. Park stared at the young princess. She was just a child, but she spoke with conviction that made even hardened soldiers pause. Get him on the ship, Mirai ordered. We leave for the medical facility immediately. As the Velkari soldiers carried Jiwoo toward their ship, Narai followed. She refused to be separated from him. Mirai walked beside her daughter, one hand on Narai's shoulder. Park watched them go. His soldiers waited for orders. The gunship's weapons tracked the Velkari vessel. Sir? One soldier asked. Do we stop them? Park was quiet for a long moment. Then he shook his head. No, we let them go. And we report this, everything, let command sort it out. But sir, we are leaving Corporal Han with the enemy. Corporal Han chose to stay with a Velkari child he did not know to protect her from certain death. Park said. He threw away his duty, his safety, everything for a child. For what was right. I think he has earned the right to make his own choices. The Velkari ship lifted off, its engines washing the desert in waves of heat. The human ships remained grounded. Both sides had come ready for war. Both sides were leaving confused and uncertain. In the medical bay of the Velkari ship, doctors worked over Jiwoo's broken body. Narai sat in the corner, refusing to leave. Mirai stood at the observation window, watching the medical team fight to save a human soldier's life. Bora approached quietly. Your Majesty, the implications of this situation are significant. If word spreads that you personally intervened to save a human soldier, then word spreads, Mirai interrupted. This human did something I have never seen in this war. He showed mercy. He protected the innocent. If we cannot honor that, then we deserve to be at war forever. The council will object. Let them object. I am the Empress, and I have made my decision. Mirai looked at her daughter, who sat watching the human with worried eyes. He saved her, Bora, not for tactical advantage, not for glory, not even for his own people, just because it was right. What will you do with him? Bora asked. If he survives. Mirai was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that would change everything. He protected my heir. By our oldest laws, that creates a debt, a sacred debt. He will be under my protection now, whether he wants it or not. Your Majesty, that law has not been invoked in centuries. Then perhaps it is time we remembered the old ways, the ways of honor, not just conquest. Jiwoo's vital signs stabilized. The head doctor emerged from the medical bay looking exhausted. He will live, Your Majesty. It was close. Another hour and we could not have saved him. But he is strong, stronger than we expected. Narai burst into tears, all the fear and tension of the past 3 days finally breaking through. Mirai pulled her daughter into an embrace, holding her tight. He saved me, Mother, Narai whispered. He did not have to. We are enemies, but he saved me anyway. I know, Mirai said softly. I know, and I will not forget. In the medical bay, Jiwoo lay unconscious, breathing steady, surrounded by machines and alien doctors working to heal him. He had no idea what his choice would mean, what it would start. He had just wanted to save a scared kid. Instead, he had changed the course of a war. Part 4. The claim Jiwoo woke up in a room that was not his. The ceiling was too high, curved like the inside of a shell. The walls glowed with soft blue light that had no source he could see. Everything was too clean, too perfect. His first thought was that he had died. His second thought was that this was not what he expected death to look like. Then the pain hit him. Or rather, the absence of pain. His ribs had been broken. He remembered that. His head had been split open. He had felt his body shutting down. But now he felt nothing. Just tired. Very tired. You are awake. Jiwoo turned his head. A Valkyrie woman stood beside his bed. She was older, with silver hair pulled back and wearing white robes marked with medical symbols. Her golden eyes studied him carefully. Where am I? Jiwoo's voice was rough. The Imperial Medical Facility, Central District, the Throne World. She picked up a device and passed it over his chest. You have been unconscious for 5 days. We had to rebuild significant portions of your internal structure. You should not be alive. The girl, Narai. Is she? Princess Narai is well. She has been here every day, waiting for you to wake. She will be pleased. The doctor set down her device. You are very lucky, human. The Empress herself ordered your treatment. No expense spared. You received better medical care than most Velkari nobility. Jiwoo tried to process this. The throne world. The Empress. I'm a prisoner. You are under Imperial protection. It is different. Before Jiwoo could ask what that meant, the door opened. Narai rushed in, followed by 2 guards who tried unsuccessfully to slow her down. She reached Jiwoo's bedside and stopped, suddenly shy. You are awake, she said. She looked healthier than when he last saw her. The wound on her head was gone, healed completely. She wore fine robes now instead of torn clothing. But her eyes were the same. Young and earnest. Hey, kid, Jiwoo said, managing a weak smile. You okay? Narai nodded. Then to everyone's surprise, she started crying. I thought you would die. The doctor said you were too damaged. But Mother brought in the best healers in the Empire. She said she would not let you die. That she owed you. Your mother sounds intense. She is the Empress, Narai said, as if that explained everything. She wants to meet you. When you are strong enough, she has questions. I bet she does. The doctor shooed Narai away gently. The patient needs rest. You can visit later, Your Highness. Narai left reluctantly, looking back at Jiwoo from the door. Thank you, she said quietly, for everything. When she was gone, the doctor gave Jiwoo an injection. Sleep, she ordered. You will need your strength. The Empress does not wait long for anything. Jiwoo slept. When he woke again, it was dark outside the window. Stars filled the sky, but they were wrong. These were not Earth stars. He was very far from home. A figure sat in a chair beside his bed. At first, Jiwoo thought it was the doctor. Then his eyes adjusted to the dim light and he saw her clearly. Empress Mirai. There was no mistaking her. She wore simpler clothes than he expected, but she radiated authority. Her face was beautiful and cold, like carved ice. Her golden eyes watched him with an intensity that made him want to look away. So, she said, you are the human who saved my daughter. Jiwoo tried to sit up. Mirai made a gesture. Do not. You are still healing. Your Majesty, Jiwoo said, trying to remember the proper forms of address. Tell me why, Mirai interrupted. Tell me why you stayed with an enemy child when you could have left. When you should have left, Jiwoo met her eyes. Because she was scared. And alone. And just a kid. She is Velkari. You are human. We are at war. She is still a kid. Mirai was quiet for a long moment. My advisors tell me you are a spy. That you stayed with Narai to gain intelligence or to use her as a hostage when rescue came. Are they correct? No. Then you are a fool. You threw away your duty, your safety, your future. For a child of the species trying to destroy yours? Yes, Jiwoo said simply. Why? Because someone had to. Mirai stood and walked to the window. She looked out at her empire, her world, her stars. Do you know what you have done, Corporal Han Jiwoo? You have created a problem that neither of our governments knows how to solve. I just tried to do the right thing. The right thing, Mirai repeated. She turned back to him. By our laws, you have created a life debt. You saved the royal heir at great personal cost. This means something in our culture. Something very old and very binding I don't understand. You are now under my protection. By ancient law, I claim you. You are no longer just a human soldier. You are Kael'sin, shield-bonded, connected to the royal house. Jiwoo felt cold despite the warm room. I did not ask for that. It does not matter what you asked for. It is what you earned. Mirai moved closer to his bed. Let me be clear, Corporal. This is not a reward. This is a burden. You will be watched, judged, used as a symbol by those who want peace and as a target by those who want war. Your old life is over. Can I refuse? You can try. But refusing would insult me and my daughter. It would suggest you saved her for selfish reasons, not honorable ones. It would make you a liar and a coward in Velkari eyes, and it would likely restart the war because my government and yours are looking for any excuse to fight. So I have no choice. You made your choice in that cave, Mirai said. You chose honor over duty, mercy over hatred. This is the consequence. Jiwoo closed his eyes. My commanders will think I defected. They already do. But they are also confused. Colonel Park's report was very detailed. He described a soldier who threw away everything to protect a child. That does not sound like a traitor. It doesn't matter what it sounds like. I'm in Velkari space, under Velkari protection, in Velkari medical facility. They will call me a deserter at best, a traitor at worst. Would you go back if you could? Mirai asked. Face their judgment? Jiwoo thought about it. Thought about Earth, about his sister Hana, about his squad, his friends, his duty. Then he thought about Narai, scared and alone in that cave, about the Krell closing in, about the choice he made. No, he said finally, I would do the same thing again. Then you are exactly what Narai said you are. A good man in a bad situation. Mirai moved to the door. Rest, Corporal. Tomorrow you begin learning Velkari customs and language. You will need both. Why? Mirai paused at the door. Because in 3 days there is a formal ceremony. I will officially declare you Kael'sin in front of my court. It will be broadcast across the Empire. Both our peoples will see it. This will either start the path to peace or it will start a war that will consume everything. She looked back at him. I hope you are worth it, human. She left. Jiwoo lay in the dark, staring at the alien ceiling, thinking about home. About Hana. About how one decision in a moment of crisis had changed his entire life. The next day, a Velkari woman arrived at his room. She was younger than Mireille, with kind eyes and patient hands. "I am Ambassador Yuna," she said. "I have been assigned to teach you about our culture." "The ambassador personally?" Jiwoo asked. "The Empress takes your situation very seriously. Only the best will do." Yuna pulled up a chair. "First, you must understand what Kaelsin means. It is an old word from before the Empire. It means one who stands between danger and the innocent, a shield-bonded warrior. I'm not a warrior in your service, not yet, but you are bonded to the princess. Where she goes, you go. Her safety is now your responsibility. I'm one human. You have an empire full of guards. Yes. But none of them threw themselves between her and death. You did, that means something." Yuna's expression was serious. "The Empress is not doing this to honor you, Corporal. She is doing this because our society demands it, and because she sees an opportunity." "An opportunity for what?" "To show that humans and Velkari can coexist. That honor exists on both sides. That maybe, just maybe, this war does not have to continue forever." Yuna leaned forward. "You are a symbol now, whether you want to be or not. The question is, what will you symbolize? Bridge or weapon?" Over the next 2 days, Jiwoo learned more about Velkari culture than he thought possible. The language was complex, full of subtleties and formalities. The customs were strict and ancient. The social hierarchy was rigid. Everything had meaning. Everything had weight. Narai visited often, helping him learn. She was patient and encouraging, teaching him the proper way to bow, to speak, to move in formal settings. She made him practice until his head hurt. "You must be perfect," she said seriously. "The court will judge you. They will look for any weakness. Wait, why do you care so much?" Jiwoo asked. Narai looked surprised by the question. "Because you saved my life. Because you are my Kaelsin. Because if they reject you, it means my mother's judgment was wrong, and that cannot happen." The day of the ceremony arrived. Jiwoo was dressed in formal robes, a mix of human and Velkari design. He looked at himself in the mirror and barely recognized the person looking back. Guards escorted him through the palace. It was massive, all flowing curves and impossible architecture. Thousands of people lived here, all serving the Empress and her government. The throne room was even more impressive. It could hold thousands. Today it held hundreds, all nobility and military officers. They watched Jiwoo enter with expressions ranging from curiosity to open hostility. He walked down a long aisle toward the throne where Empress Mirai sat, radiating power. Nare stood B's Part 5. Bridge between worlds 3 months after the ceremony. Jiwoo stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city. The city was called Velran, built into and around trees that grew hundreds of meters tall. Buildings spiraled up the massive trunks, connected by bridges that looked too delicate to hold weight but had stood for centuries. The whole city glowed softly at night, bioluminescent plants providing light without electricity. It was beautiful. It was also not home. "You look sad," Narai said, joining him on the balcony. She was taller than when they first met, growing fast. She had taken to following Jiwoo around the palace, much to the annoyance of her tutors and guards. "Just thinking," Jiwoo said. "About Earth? Always." He smiled at her. "But it's okay. I'm adjusting. You are lying. I have learned to tell when humans lie." "Your face does a thing." Jiwoo laughed despite himself. "A thing? Your left eye gets smaller. Just a little bit. My mother does not see it, but I do. You're too smart for your own good." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Below, the city went about its evening. People walked the bridges, going home to families. So different from humans, but also so similar. "The peace talks begin tomorrow," Narai said. "Mother is nervous. She does not show it, but I can tell. The peace talks. They had been planned for weeks, the first real attempt at negotiation since the war began. Representatives from both governments would meet on a neutral station. It was risky. Many on both sides wanted the talks to fail. "She should be nervous," Jiwoo said. "A lot is riding on this, and will you be there?" "Your mother requested it. Said having me present might help. Show that cooperation is possible, or it will make the humans angry," Narai said quietly. Seeing one of their soldiers standing with us, she was right. The reaction to the ceremony had been mixed. Some humans saw Jiwoo as a hero who chose mercy over war. Others saw him as a traitor who abandoned his people. The military had officially classified him as MIA, presumed captured. They had not charged him with desertion, but they had not called him a hero either. Commander Bora appeared at the balcony entrance.
"Kaelsin,
The Empress requests your presence. Jiwoo still was not used to being called that. I'll be right there. Bora had warmed to him over the months, but only slightly. She respected his combat skills and his protection of Narai, but she did not fully trust him. Jiwoo could not blame her. He was human, the enemy. No ceremony changed that basic fact. He found Empress Mirai in her private study, surrounded by reports and star charts. She looked tired. Being an empress meant long hours and constant pressure. Jiwoo had learned that she rarely slept more than 4 hours a night. You wanted to see me, Your Majesty? Mirai looked up. We need to talk about tomorrow, about what your presence means. Jiwoo sat when she gestured to a chair. Over the months, their relationship had evolved. She still intimidated him, but they had developed a working understanding. She valued his insights into human thinking. He respected her dedication to finding peace. I know my being there is complicated, Jiwoo said. Complicated is putting it mildly. The human delegation has already protested. They see it as us parading a captured soldier to humiliate them. Do you want me to stay here? No. Mirai set down the report she was reading. I want you there precisely because it will be uncomfortable. Peace should not be comfortable. It should force both sides to confront what we have become. I'm a prop. You are a reminder that we can choose differently. She leaned back in her chair. Tell me honestly, do you think these talks will work? Jiwoo considered carefully. I think both sides want to stop fighting, but wanting peace and achieving it are different things. There is too much anger, too much blood, so we are doomed to war. Not doomed, but it will take more than talks. It will take people willing to risk everything for peace, like you risked your political position by claiming me. Mirai smiled slightly. You think that was a risk? I know it was. I have heard the nobles talk. Some think you went soft, that you let emotion override logic. And what do you think? I think you made a hard choice for the right reason. That takes more strength than most people have. They were quiet for a moment. Outside, the city was settling into night. Tomorrow will be difficult, Mirai said. The human delegation will be hostile. Our own delegates will be watching for weakness. Every word will be analyzed. Every gesture judged. Sounds fun. Mirai actually laughed at that. It was rare. She smiled sometimes, but genuine laughter was almost never heard from the Empress. You have an unusual way of viewing things, Jiwoo. It's a human trait. We make jokes when we are scared. Are you scared? Terrified. But I will be there anyway. The next day, they traveled to the neutral station via a fast diplomatic ship. The station was massive, built by a third-party species that traded with both humans and Velkari but aligned with neither. The meeting room was carefully designed to favor neither side. Neutral colors. Neutral furniture. Even the temperature was a compromise between human and Velkari preferences. The human delegation arrived first. Jiwoo recognized Colonel Park. There were also diplomats he did not know and a general whose face was carved from stone. They all stared at Jiwoo when he entered with the Velkari group. Corporal Han, the general said. His voice was flat. Or should I call you something else now? Jiwoo is fine, sir. You stand with them. Wear their clothes. Answer to their empress. I stand with peace, sir. And I answer to my conscience. The general's face darkened, but before he could respond, the negotiations began. It went badly from the start. The Velkari demanded humans withdraw from 3 contested systems. The humans demanded the Velkari cease all expansion into human territory. Both sides used harsh language. Old grievances were brought up. Deaths were tallied and blamed. Jiwoo watched, saying nothing. He was there as a symbol, not a negotiator. But watching the two sides talk past each other, refuse to hear each other, blame each other for everything wrong with the galaxy, made his stomach hurt. This was going nowhere. Then disaster struck. A blast shook the station. Alarms started screaming. Armed figures in black armor crashed through the walls, moving with practiced efficiency. Not human, not Velkari. Mercenaries, hired killers, they were targeting Empress Mirai. Everything happened very fast. The Empress's guards reacted immediately, forming a protective barrier. The human guards drew weapons. The mercenaries opened fire with advanced weaponry that cut through shields and armor. Jiwoo saw one mercenary with a clear shot at Mirai. Her guards were focused on the wrong direction. The shot was lining up. Without thinking, Jiwoo moved. He crossed the room in 3 seconds, his training taking over. He hit Mirai from the side, knocking her down. The energy blast that would have killed her passed through the space where her head had been. They hit the ground hard. Jiwoo covered her body with his own, becoming the shield his title claimed he was. The firefight lasted 30 seconds. The station's security forces arrived, supported by both human and Valkyrie guards. The mercenaries were neutralized or captured. But in those 30 seconds, 3 people died and a dozen were wounded. When the shooting stopped, Jiwoo realized he was hurt. Something had hit his shoulder. It burned. But Mirai was alive beneath him, shocked but unharmed. "You can get off me now," she said quietly. Jiwoo rolled away, clutching his shoulder. Blood seeped between his fingers. A medic rushed over, human, and started treating the wound. "You are an idiot," Commander Bora said, appearing over him. But she was smiling slightly. "A brave idiot." Colonel Park approached more slowly. He looked at Jiwoo, then at the Empress, who was being helped to her feet by her guards. "You saved her," Park said. "I saw the shot," Jiwoo replied, gritting his teeth as the medic worked. "I just reacted. You could have let it happen. Would have solved a lot of problems. Not the right problems." Park was quiet for a moment. Then he extended his hand. "You're a good soldier, Jiwoo. I wish we had not lost you." Jiwoo shook his hand. "You have not lost me, sir. I am still human. I am just standing in a different place now." The talks resumed 3 hours later after security had been reinforced. The atmosphere had changed. Both sides had been targeted. Both sides had bled. The mercenaries had been hired by fringe groups from both species, extremists who wanted the war to continue forever. Seeing their combined enemy made a difference. The negotiations did not solve everything. Peace would take years to build. But for the first time, both sides were listening. Really listening. And when Empress Mirai spoke about the need for cooperation, she gestured to Jiwoo, sitting with his shoulder bandaged, between the two delegations. "This human could have let me die," she said. "It would have been easy. Justifiable, even. But he did not. He protected an enemy leader at risk to himself. If one person can show such mercy, such courage, then surely our two peoples can find a way forward together." The human general who had been so cold earlier spoke up. "The Empress is right. Corporal Han made a choice that most of us would not have the strength to make. He protected life over politics. Perhaps we should follow his example." After the talks, as they prepared to return to the throne world, Mirai found Jiwoo in the medical bay getting his wound checked again. "You did it again," she said. "Did what?" "Chose life over duty. Protected someone at Part 6? The wait of 2 worlds 6 months had passed since the assassination attempt. Jiwoo had settled into his role as Chief of Interspecies Relations, though the title felt too large for what he actually did. Mostly he sat in meetings explaining why humans thought one way while Valkyrie thought another. He translated not just words but intentions. It was exhausting work. The peace talks had continued, slowly building trust. Trade agreements were being discussed. Borders were being redrawn. Small steps, but steps forward. Both governments were cautiously optimistic. Then everything fell apart in a single day. Jiwoo was in his office reviewing reports when Mirai burst through the door. She was 16 now, no longer a child but not quite an adult. She had grown into her role as princess, learning statecraft and diplomacy from her mother. But right now she looked like the scared girl from the cave. "They captured your unit," she said. Jiwoo felt ice form in his stomach. "What?" "The soldiers you served with. Your squad. They were on a reconnaissance mission near the border. A Valkyrie patrol caught them. They are being brought here for trial." Jiwoo stood up so fast his chair fell over. "Trial for what?" "Espionage. Violation of the ceasefire zones. The military council wants them executed as a warning to others. They were my brothers. They are good soldiers just following orders." "I know. I have been trying to tell my mother, but the council is pressuring her. There have been incidents on both sides. Everyone is looking for an excuse to restart the war." Nari's voice was desperate. "You have to do something." Jiwoo was already moving toward the door. Nari followed him through the palace corridors. Guards stepped aside when they saw his expression. They had learned over the months that when Jiwoo looked like that, it was better to get out of his way. He found Empress Mirai in the council chamber, surrounded by military officers and civilian advisors. They were arguing, voices raised. The atmosphere was tense. Jiwoo did not wait for permission. He walked straight into the room. "Your Majesty," he said, "I need to speak with you." The room went silent. Commander Bora looked annoyed at the interruption. Other council members looked offended. Mirai's face was carefully neutral. Kaelsin Jiwoo, this is a closed session. I know, but this concerns me directly. My former squad members are prisoners. I am requesting their release. One of the council members, an older male named Taehoon, laughed. You request? You are not in a position to request anything, human. These soldiers violated our territory. They will face justice. They were following orders, Jiwoo said, just like I was when I first came to this planet. They are not criminals. They are enemies, another council member said. We have been too soft during these peace talks. Letting them go shows weakness. Killing them shows nothing but cruelty, Jiwoo countered. You want to restart the war? Execute prisoners of war during peace negotiations. That will do it. Mirai held up a hand. Enough, council, leave us. I will speak with Jiwoo privately. The council members filed out, many of them shooting angry looks at Jiwoo. Only Bora remained, and Narai, who had followed Jiwoo into the room. When they were alone, Mirai's composure cracked slightly. You put me in an impossible position. The council wants blood. Our people want to see strength. If I release these prisoners, I look weak. And if you execute them, you prove to every human that we cannot be trusted, Jiwoo said. You prove that this peace is just a delay before the next war. They violated our territory. So did I. Are you going to execute me too? The words hung in the air. Mirai's eyes flashed with anger. That is different. How? I was a soldier following orders. I crossed into your territory. The only difference is I found Narai instead of being found by a patrol. You saved my daughter. And they are trying to save their friends, their families, their people. They are just doing their job, same as I was. Bora spoke up. He is right, Your Majesty. Executing prisoners during peace talks sends the wrong message. It says we are not serious about peace. Mirai walked to the window looking out over her city. The council will not accept simple release. They need something. Some consequence. Jiwoo's mind raced. There had to be a way out of this. Some solution that gave both sides what they needed. Then he remembered something. An old Valkyrie custom that Yuna had taught him months ago. Trial by combat, he said. Mirai turned. What? The old law. When there is dispute over justice, the accused can demand trial by combat. If their champion wins, they go free. If their champion loses, the sentence stands. You want to fight for them? Bora asked, surprised. Yes, the council gets their trial. The humans get a chance at justice, and we let fate decide. Taehoon's voice came from the doorway. The council member had been listening. You would fight for these humans? Your former comrades? Yes, against whom? Who would be the Empire's champion? I will, Bora said. Everyone turned to look at her. She stood straighter. I will fight as the Empire's champion. The Kaelsin wishes to test his loyalty. Very well. Let him test it against me. Mirai looked between them. Bora, you are twice his size and have 3 times his combat experience. Then it should be a short fight. And when I win, the prisoners will be executed and we can move forward. And if I win? Jiwoo asked. You will not. But if I do? Taehoon smiled coldly. Then they go free. All of them. And we will know that the spirits favor mercy over justice. Mirai looked at Jiwoo for a long moment. He could see the calculation in her eyes. This was risky for everyone. If Jiwoo lost, the peace process would take a major hit. If he won, the council would be humiliated. I accept these terms, Mirai said finally. The trial by combat will take place in 3 days. Prepare yourselves. The news spread quickly. Trial by combat had not been invoked in decades. People were excited and scared. The human prisoners were brought to the capital under heavy guard. Jiwoo was allowed to see them briefly. Private Lee looked thinner than Jiwoo remembered. The months had been hard on all of them. Corporal, he said when Jiwoo entered the cell, they said you are fighting for us. That's the plan. You don't have to do this. We knew the risks. You're my squad, Jiwoo said simply. I don't leave people behind. You left us in the desert, another soldier, Private Kim, said bitterly. I sent you away to save a child. That is different from abandoning you, is it? You stayed with the enemy, joined them. Now you wear their clothes and answer to their empress. The words hurt because there was truth in them. Jiwoo had changed. He was not the same soldier who had walked into that desert months ago. I made choices, Jiwoo said. Hard choices. Maybe the wrong choices. But I would make them again. And now I am choosing to fight for you. To give you a chance to go home. Lee stepped forward. You really believe in this peace thing, don't you? You think we can stop fighting. I have to believe it. Because if I don't, then what was it all for? Narai survived. I survived. But if it just leads to more war, more death, then maybe I should have let the Krell take her. You don't mean that. No, I don't. Which is why I will fight, why I will win, and why you will all go home and tell people that peace is possible. The day of the combat arrived. The arena was ancient, carved from a single massive stone in the heart of the capital. Thousands came to watch. The entire event was being broadcast across the Empire and into human space. Everyone would see this. Jiwoo stood in the preparation room, checking his equipment. He wore light armor, Valkyrie design, and carried a staff weapon. No lethal weapons were allowed in trial by combat. The goal was to prove skill and determination, not to kill. Narai came to see him before the fight. She looked terrified. You do not have to do this, she said. Please. Commander Bora is the best warrior in the Empire. She has never lost a fight. I have to try. Why? These humans do not even like you. They called you a traitor. Maybe I am a traitor, but they are still my people. And I am still trying to build a bridge. This is part of that. Bridges can collapse, then I will build them again. As many times as it takes. Narai hugged him suddenly. If you die, I will be very angry with you. Jiwoo smiled. Noted. Empress Mirai appeared at the doorway. Narai left reluctantly. Mirai entered and studied Jiwoo carefully. You are going to lose, she said bluntly. Probably. So why fight? Because they need to see someone try. Both sides need to see that peace is worth fighting for. Even when you know you will lose. Mirai was quiet for a moment. When I first claimed you, I thought you would be a useful symbol, a way to show mercy without looking weak. But you have become something else. Something I did not expect. What's that? A reminder. Of what we should be? What we could be. You make me want to be better, Jiwoo, even when it is hard. Even when it costs me political power. She moved closer. Win or lose today, you have already changed things. Remember that. The arena was packed when Jiwoo walked out. The crowd's roar was deafening. He saw humans in the crowd, diplomats and observers. He saw Valkyrie from all social classes. Everyone was watching. Commander Bora entered from the opposite side. She was massive in her combat armor, carrying a staff weapon that looked like a toy in her hands. She had fought hundreds of these matches, never lost. The judge, an old Valkyrie warrior, stood between them. The trial is simple. First to yield or be unable to continue loses. Death is forbidden. Honor is required. Begin. Bow Part 7. Claimed by choice 1 year after the trial by combat, the threshold accords were ready to be signed. It had taken months of negotiation, compromise, and careful diplomacy. But finally, both governments had agreed to terms. The war was ending. Not with victory or defeat, but with peace. The signing ceremony was being held on Threshold 7, the planet where everything had started. The desert where Jiwoo had found Narai, where he had made the choice that changed everything. Jiwoo stood in his quarters aboard the diplomatic ship, adjusting his formal uniform. It was a hybrid design, mixing human and Valkyrie elements. He had helped design it himself, another symbol of the bridge he represented. A knock at the door. Come in, he called. Narai entered. She was 17 now, poised and confident. She had grown into a remarkable young woman, studying diplomacy and interspecies relations. She wanted to continue the work her mother and Jiwoo had started. The ships are almost ready to land, she said. Are you nervous? Always, Jiwoo admitted. Big ceremonies make me uncomfortable. You have attended dozens of them now. Does not mean I like them. He smiled at her. How are you feeling? Excited, scared, hopeful? She sat on a chair. This is really happening. Peace. After so many years of war. Your mother made it happen. She risked everything for this. You helped. You showed us it was possible. They sat in comfortable silence. Over the year, their relationship had deepened into something like siblings. She was the little sister he had gained, so different from Hana but equally important to him. Will you go back to Earth? Narai asked suddenly. When this is signed, you will be free to choose. It was the question Jiwoo had been avoiding. The peace treaty included provisions for his status. He could return to human space with full honors, all charges dropped. Or he could remain with the Valkyrie. The choice was his. I do not know, he said honestly. You miss your home, your sister, every day. But I have built something here too. A purpose, a mission. You can have both. Travel between worlds. See your family and still serve as a diplomat. Maybe, but it would not be the same. Before Narai could respond, another knock. This time it was Ambassador Yuna. The Empress requests your presence, Kael'sin. We are preparing to land. The ceremony was held in a large pavilion built specifically for this occasion. Thousands attended in person. Billions watched across both human and Velkari space. Representatives from dozens of other species came as observers, curious to see if the two warring powers could actually make peace. Jiwoo stood with the Velkari delegation but slightly apart, visible to everyone. He had learned to be comfortable in this role, neither fully human nor fully Velkari, something in between. The human delegation arrived led by a new president, a woman named President Choi who had campaigned on ending the war. She looked nervous but determined. Beside her walked familiar faces. Colonel Park, now a general. Other military leaders, diplomats, and in the back Jiwoo saw her. His sister Hana. She had grown up. She was 19 now, studying medicine as she had always dreamed. When she saw Jiwoo, tears filled her eyes. She waved and he waved back, his throat tight with emotion. Empress Mirai noticed. She came for you, she said quietly. Your sister. President Choi arranged it as a gesture of goodwill. Thank you, Jiwoo managed. Thank President Choi. She understands symbols matter. The ceremony began. Speeches were made, long and formal. Leaders from both sides spoke about sacrifice and courage and the importance of choosing peace over endless conflict. They talked about the future, about cooperation and shared prosperity. Then it was time to sign. President Choi stepped forward first, placing her signature on the treaty document. The crowd applauded. Empress Mirai signed next. More applause, louder this time. It was done. The war was over. After the formal ceremony ended, there was a reception. This was where the real work happened. Leaders and diplomats mixing, building personal relationships that would support the political ones. Jiwoo was talking with Ambassador Yuna when Hana found him. She pushed through the crowd and threw herself into his arms. He hugged her back, both of them crying. I thought I lost you, she said. When they said you were missing, presumed captured, I thought you were dead. I am sorry. I could not contact you. Everything was complicated. I saw what you did. The broadcasts. You saved that girl, protected her, then fought for peace. She pulled back to look at him. Mom and Dad do not understand, but I do. You did what was right. How are they? Angry, confused, but alive, safe. The war did not touch Earth much. She looked around at the Velkari. This is so strange. Being here. Among them. They are so different, not as different as you think. They have families, dreams. They get scared and hope for better futures just like we do. Narai approached cautiously. Hello, she said in careful English. She had been learning the language. You are Hana. Jiwoo speaks of you often. You are Narai, Hana replied. The princess he saved? Yes, your brother gave me a second life. I owe him everything. The two young women studied each other. Then Hana smiled. Thank you for taking care of him, for giving him a purpose when he could not come home. He gave us more than we gave him, Narai said. He showed us a better way. Empress Mirai joined them. Miss Hana, I am pleased to meet you. Your brother has spoken of you many times. Hana looked intimidated but stood straight. Your Majesty, thank you for saving his life, for giving him a place when his own people could not. He earned his place here, and more. Mirai looked at Jiwoo. May I borrow your brother for a moment? There is something we need to discuss. Jiwoo followed Mirai to a quieter corner of the reception. President Choi was waiting there along with General Park and Commander Bora. We have a proposal, President Choi said. Both governments working together. We want to establish a formal interspecies council, a permanent body dedicated to maintaining peace and cooperation. It would be based here on Threshold 7 neutral ground. And you want me to serve on this council? Jiwoo guessed. We want you to lead it, Mirai said, as the first director of interspecies relations. A formal position recognized by both governments. Jiwoo was stunned. That is enormous. I am just a soldier. You are much more than that now, General Park said. You are the person both sides trust, the living symbol of peace. Who better to lead this effort? It would be demanding, President Choi added. You would travel constantly, mediate disputes, build relationships, help prevent misunderstandings from becoming conflicts. And you would be free, Mirai said, not claimed by ancient law but serving by choice. You could visit Earth whenever you needed. Maintain your human connections while serving both peoples. Jiwoo looked at each of them, then out at the reception where humans and Velkari were mixing carefully but genuinely. He saw Narai and Hana talking together, bridging their own gap. He saw soldiers from both sides standing without weapons, sharing drinks and cautious stories. This was what he had fought for. This moment, this possibility. I accept, he said. Relief showed on every face. They had been worried he would refuse, would choose to go home and leave this complicated life behind. There will be a formal announcement tomorrow, President Choi said. For now, enjoy the celebration. You earned it. As they walked away, Mirai stayed behind. Are you certain? She asked quietly. This path will not be easy. You will face opposition from both sides, criticism, danger. I am certain. This is where I am needed, where I can do the most good. You could go home, see your family, live a normal life. I do not think I can have a normal life anymore. Too much has changed. I have changed, he looked at her. Besides, someone has to keep building the bridge. Might as well be me, Mirai smiled. It was a real smile, warm and genuine. Over the years she had softened around him, showing the person behind the Empress. Narai will be pleased. She did not want to lose you. I'm not going anywhere. Good. Because I have become accustomed to your presence. Your perspective. Your strange human optimism even when things look dark. There was something in her voice, something Jiwoo had noticed growing over the months. A connection beyond political alliance or the formal claim that had brought him to her court. Something personal. Your Majesty, Mirai, she interrupted. When we are alone, you may call me Mirai. The titles are for courts and councils, not for this. Mirai, Jiwoo said, testing the name. Why did you really claim me? That first day, was it just the ancient law? She was quiet for a moment. At first, yes. The law demanded it. Political necessity required it. But then I watched you, saw how you interacted with Narai, how you tried so hard to understand our culture, to build bridges even when people from both sides rejected you. You became something I did not expect. What is that? Important to me, to Narai, to what we are trying to build. She looked at him directly. I claimed you by law a year ago. But if I were to ask now, would you choose to stay? Not from obligation or duty, but because you want to? Jiwoo thought about it. About Earth and his family. About the life he had lost. Then about Narai and her growth. About the work they were doing. About Mirai herself, this complicated empress trying to change her empire from within. Yes, he said. I would choose to stay.